What's up guys, Ryan here, treadawaytraining.com, and in this video we're going to talk about some practical tips so that you can get more out of your gym session in less time. The first tip is to cut out or at least cut back on the stretching. Studies show conflicting evidence for how beneficial stretching actually is for injury prevention, and there are better ways that we can get warmed up that take less time. For example, if you want to get a total body warm up, then you can hop on the treadmill for a couple minutes just to get your core body temperature up. And what I like to do with my clients and myself is I like to warm up with the actual exercise that I'm about to perform. So say for example, I'm going to do squats, and let's say on this particular day I'm going to be doing 3 sets of 10. What I will do is I will do 3 warm-up sets for squats, and then I will do a set of 10 with 50% of the weight that I'll be using on my working sets, and then I'll do 8 with 70% of working weight, and then I'll do 6 with 90% of working weight. And I'll do that same rep structure all the way down to 5 reps, and if I'm doing less than 5 reps for my working sets, or my client is doing less than 5 reps for the working set, what we'll do is we'll do a set of 5, a set of 3, and a set of 1 for the warm-up set. So the percentages will still be the same though. It'll still be 50%, 70%, 90%. And then once you have done a leg exercise in its entirety, I wouldn't warm up for any of my other leg exercises because it's already warmed up. So say for example, let's say you do your warm-up sets on squats, you do your working weight on squats, and then you move on to leg extensions, leg curls, something like that. I wouldn't really take the time to warm up on those because your legs should already be warm from the first exercise that you did. The next tip is very simple and straightforward. Simply use a rest timer. Have a timer on your phone or stopwatch or whatever you want to use your watch. Just set how much ever time you need to rest between sets. Just set a timer for that long, and it'll ensure that you don't go over that so that you don't get caught up talking or something. If you have that phone beeping telling you to do another set, then you'll be less likely to waste time in between sets. So once that alarm goes off, just hop straight into the next set, and that'll save a lot of wasted time. The next is supersets. Supersets is simply pairing 2 exercises and performing them back to back before you rest. So say for example, I might do a bicep curl and a tricep extension, and I'll do those back to back and then rest, and then do them again back to back and then rest. Now the one caveat that I will say on this one is you need to do this intelligently. So you don't want to do 2 exercises that have muscles that complement each other. So say for example, the bench press uses primarily your chest and your triceps. Alright, so you don't want to pair it with a tricep exercise or another chest exercise, because then your triceps or your chest or both will be tired and you won't get as much out of either of those exercises. So let's say if I did a bench press and a tricep push down back to back, well, my triceps, which are assisting the bench press, they're going to be tired from doing the tricep push down. So I'm actually going to get less out of the bench press. So you want to do opposing muscles, or muscles that don't even have anything to do with each other, like I did in the first example, the biceps and the triceps. Those 2 things aren't going to negatively impact the other. Alternatively, you could do something like a leg exercise and a shoulder exercise, or like just a lower body and an upper body exercise. That way they won't be interfering with each other. And then the last thing that I want to note on the supersets is I would not superset heavy compound exercises. So for example, I would not superset a squat and a bench. Squats are very, very fatiguing, and then bench press is also pretty fatiguing, so you don't want to do the squat, which is also a movement that requires a lot of technical proficiency to avoid injury risk. So you don't want to do the squats and then go over and do a bench press, something else that's going to make you tired, and then go back to the squat and have to do squats in an overly fatigued state. So I would do those by themselves. I would do squats, and then I would do bench press, and then maybe superset your smaller lifts like arm stuff, leg extensions, leg curls, calves, stuff like that. The next tip is giant sets or circuit. which is basically the same thing as a superset, except you're adding in more than 2 exercises. So for example, it might be a bicep curl, tricep extension, lateral raise, and calf raise. So like you have multiple exercises back to back to back to back to back, and then you rest. Now the one thing that I will say about giant sets and supersets is by the time you get to those last exercises, you're going to be pretty tired, and while a bicep curl might not have anything to do at all with a calf raise, if you're doing several exercises in a row, your just overall fatigue is going to be higher. So while the bicep curl might not directly impact the calves, the fact that you've done 3, 4, 5, 6 exercises in a row before you get to that last one, that is going to make you overall more tired, which will negatively impact those later exercises. So I would try to avoid those, but at the same time, if you're extremely limited in how much time you have to be able to get in the gym, doing those exercises is still better than not doing those exercises. So if the only way you can make all of the stuff that you need to do fit in the time that you have available, if that's the only way, then hey, that's still better. Do that. I'm all for it. I'm not going to argue with you there. Get all of the exercises in, no matter what you have to do to get them in. Just if you do have the time available, then you do want to separate those out a little bit. So let's say, for example, if you had 6 exercises that you needed to do, then instead of doing a circuit of 6, if you had the time available, you could split that into 2 giant sets of 3 exercises, or even better, you would do 3 supersets. So you have 2 exercises supersetted, 2 exercises supersetted, and then 2 more exercises supersetted. But like I said, just whatever you have to do to get all of the work in. The next tip is one that I've been doing a lot of recently, and I am a big fan of, and that is rest pause sets. I've been super busy here lately with my client load and the fact that we just moved, in case you didn't notice that I'm in a different house now. So one thing that I've been incorporating a lot of is these rest pause sets. So here's what you do with the rest pause. So basically, let's say you do 10 reps, you take a 3-second rest, you do 3 more reps, a 3-second rest, 3 more reps, and a 3-second rest, and so on and so forth for how many ever extra sets that you want to tack onto the end. Usually I will do this with 3 extra sets of 3 at the end. So 10 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 with 3 seconds of rest in between each set. And what this does is it allows you to get more reps in less time. And those extra reps at the end, those are more effective reps, is what most people refer to them as. And what an effective rep is, think about a set of 10. Let's say you do a set of 10 with a weight where you actually fail at 10 reps. Like 10 reps is all out max effort. Well, if you think about it, even if the weight you use puts you at failure at 10 reps, those first 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 reps aren't really all that hard. And so the last half of that set, you would say that those reps are more effective at building muscle than the first reps, because the first reps you're not really putting a whole lot of stress on your muscles. So the rest pause, you're adding more of these effective reps at the end. You're doing your 10 reps with that 3-second pause and then 3 more reps. So those extra 3 reps, each of those additional sets on the end, those reps are all going to be closer to failure. So let's say you do a set of 10 and that last rep, that 10th rep, puts you at about 1 to 2 reps away from failure. And then you take that 3-second rest and then you do 3 more. And that extra set of 3 is going to put you again 1 to 2 reps away from failure. And then that next set, again, 1 to 2 reps from failure. And again, 1 to 2 reps from failure. So all those additional sets at the end, you're getting those really effective close to failure reps without having to do additional like full sets. Now to bring all this back together, the way this saves time is you can do less sets. So like, let's say for example, you might have been doing 5 sets of 10 and that would have taken you however long. Well, with this way, you could do 2 sets. So you do a set of 10 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3, and then you do another set after, you know, you rest 3 minutes or so, 2-3 minutes, and then you do another set of 10 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3. And so you have all of those extra reps at the end that are closer to failure. So you're doing less total reps with less rest time. So it saves you time, but you're getting a similar amount of work out of it because you're using more of those effective reps. And you don't have to use 3 sets of 3 at the end. That's not, you know, an exact thing. You could do 5 sets of 5 and do 1 set of 10 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5, or a set of 15 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5. So that you can play around with that a little bit, but just remember you want to keep those tacked on sets at the end right at, not failure, but right at failure. And for those of you who actually track your workout volume or how many total reps you're getting per muscle group, the current scientific evidence suggests that these tacked on reps at the end after the first initial set, so like the plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 part, those additional reps are equivalent to approximately 2 to 3 reps on a regular set. So like, say for example, you do plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 at the end, those 9 reps would be worth 18 to 27 regular reps. Another good tip and a similar strategy to this one is drop sets. It's basically the same idea. You do a straight, you know, set of 10 or set of 15 or whatever your initial set is going to be, and then at the end, instead of resting and then doing that same weight again, you will drop the weight and immediately go again. Now, the only issue I have with this method of doing it is if you're doing something where it's like a plate loaded machine, or like something with a barbell, or anything where you're having to take weight plates off, you're actually going to be taking more rest by having to take the time to take all those weights off than if you were doing a rest pause set. And then in this case, you're also doing less weight on those additional sets. So the only way I personally would incorporate drop sets is if you're doing like a pin loaded, like a selectorized machine. So if you're doing a leg extension that you can just pull the pin and immediately, you know, swap it to a new weight and keep going with like less than a second rest. So you do your 10 reps, stop, pull the pin, put the pin back in and keep going. Then I'm perfectly cool with you doing it that way. But me personally, I wouldn't do the drop sets unless, you know, it was that specific instance where you can switch out the weight just like that and be good to go and keep going. Now the last tip is HIIT versus LISS. HIIT, which is high intensity interval training, HIIT. LISS is low intensity steady state, LISS. There's a big argument over, you know, which is more effective for fat burning. In reality, it's all about, you know, burning those extra calories. It's not that big a difference in between the two, if any. If you've seen studies that show when calories are equated that one is better than the other, I would be interested in seeing it. But from the evidence that I've seen, the studies that I've read, they seem to be similar. So it's really a matter of how much time you want to spend in the gym. And since we're talking about saving time in the gym, then, you know, HIIT's probably going to be the better option here. An example of HIIT would be like jump roping for 15 seconds all out, taking a 5-second rest, 15 more seconds all out, 5-second rest, so on and so forth. So basically, you're doing short, choppy sets of some type of cardio exercise. So it could be jump rope, could be sprints, it could be mountain climbers, could be burpees, you know, whatever you want to do for your cardio. Just, you would be doing it for all out bursts for short amounts of time, followed by a short rest, and then you go again, and you do that for so many sets versus, you know, hopping on the treadmill and just punching in your weight and all that stuff and walking until you hit that calorie target. Now, the one caveat that I will say with this one is if you are primarily concerned with strength, HIIT may or may not be the best thing for you, because one thing you have to consider when you exercise is everything that you do, you know, has some recovery component to it. If you do a really hard exercise, it takes longer to recover from that really hard exercise. So if you're doing LISS, there's not much of a recovery component there because you're just casually walking on the treadmill or biking or elliptical or Stairmaster or whatever it is. You're not doing something that's really tearing down your muscles that you have to really recover from. You're pretty much good to go. You know, you might be a little tired from having walked so long, but after you recover from that initial tiredness, like the next day, there's going to be no lingering effects of that. But with the HIIT, you might have some lingering fatigue from that. I mean, that's hard. The whole point is you're going all out during these intervals. So it's, you know, going to be a little bit more difficult. There's going to be a little bit more of a recovery aspect to it. So if you're looking at strength, then that's something you want to consider. So maybe you say, hey, I don't care. I just want to get this cardio done and I want to get out of the gym, and I don't care if it costs me a little bit, you know, more recovery. Then hey, cool, do it. I just want you to be aware of it so that you can make an informed decision. And that's going to be it for this. Those are my top tips for saving time in the gym. I'd like to hear what yours are. What do you do to save time in the gym? Because hey, like I said, I'm a busy guy. If you've thought of something that saves time in the gym, I'd be interested in hearing it too. I'd like to implement it in my workouts. So let me know what you do to save time down in the comments. And if you like the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and ring that bell so you get notified when I post new videos. I will be back Sunday on TreadawayTraining.com with the next fat loss topic. God bless you and your family, and I'll see you Sunday. And if you have, let me know what yours top. Let me know. This is gonna